Good evening and welcome to Alpha Innovator. I'm your host, Linda Croce-Anderson.
Marie Momarque.
And tonight, our guests are Lou Lippincott, Renato Einerson, and Earl Powell. Welcome, gentlemen, and thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Well, my first question, Alpha Innovator is a show that we intend to run for 12 episodes during the next year. And let me ask you, what would be your choice of an innovation center? Why don't we start with Renata?
So I think Tech Shop could be, provide you pretty good value, so I appreciate Tech Shop.
Okay. Lou?
Yes, actually, although I have very little experience with them directly, I think Google is an absolutely interesting place for innovators. They don't throw anything out. I mean, everything seems to be possible. They don't say anything is impossible. People there can work on anything, and it seems like it would be just a lot of fun and a good place to innovate.
Nice. And how about you, Earl?
Well, I'm a big fan of the Tech Shop, and I see the Tech Shop as an industrial arts club, and that was my aspiration, to be an industrial arts teacher and an inventor. And when I discovered the Tech Shop, I was delighted and have been a big fan and supporter ever since. So
Fabulous. Now, Renato, what do you believe fosters innovation?
So I actually think innovation comes in very, very different flavors and colors, but I do think you can pick a few factors. For example, I think culture and environment are very important. I also think that investment is very important, and leadership is required, as well as the quality of the skill sets of the team overall. And I think that comes from, you can look at that in the macro level, in terms of it comes from the country laws overall, federal laws to state laws, and even down to your company. I think all these factors can be applied to. So that's why I think you can pick, at least some of these factors to foster innovation. However, I don't think it's an easy thing to do. I think we've had, there are many countries trying to copy, for example, what we have done here in Silicon Valley, and it's not an easy thing to do. So it's not something that is a cookie cutter. But I think these four factors can be applied to an overall in a broad base.
Okay. What would you consider an ideal culture and environment?
So the environment, the culture needs to be that where you're seeking innovation and you accept taking risks. So you accept failure. I think that's very important. So you can actually provide this atmosphere so people are okay with failing and trying it again. I think that's what brings innovation.
Right. Except we don't like to refer to it as failure. We
Correct.
like to refer to it as just phase
Trials.
2.
Exactly. Yeah.
Phase 2.
It's just a numbers game. Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, Lou, how do you feel innovation centers should handle intellectual property?
Well, a big incentive, although people don't often talk about it directly, for innovation is everybody wants to hit that home run, right? They want to invent the next greatest thing. And whether they actually are rewarded monetarily or just they're attached to it, that people are known for that invention, is important to them. So the risk reward has to be there, or people don't make the effort. So because of that, I find it to be very important that people learn how to protect their intellectual property. It can be very, very frustrating for someone to have that spark of inspiration and just start working on their project and they kind of get it incubated, and then somebody else takes the ball and runs with it. So again, that's why I teach a workshop at the Tech Shop, because it's an incubator for entrepreneurs, and a lot of people there do not know how to protect their intellectual property. And so I teach a workshop, and I at least get people past that stage so they can focus on their invention or their new business and hopefully enjoy success from it.
So what are a couple forms of protection?
Well, that's a good question, because every idea that you have starts out initially as a trade secret, right? And you may have it, waking up or dream or in the shower or whatever, but you're the only one that knows about it. So by default, it's a trade secret. Often that's the best way to protect an idea, is just not tell anyone. And again, I teach a workshop on why you would do that. The simple example I give is, if I had invented a machine that I could pour lead in one side and gold would come out the other, I would not file a patent on it, because all I would notice then is that the price of gold would collapse and the price of lead would go up, right? Because everybody would make one. And if you have an ounce of gold, you cannot reverse engineer how it was made. So therefore, I would keep that as a trade secret. How to make that machine would probably die with me, right?
Okay.
Yeah, so that's one way. Sometimes it's, and people don't often like to hear this, the best way to protect your idea is actually publish it. So you just tell the world about it. And there are reasons for doing that. And then finally, if none of those approaches will work for you, then there's the patent process. And that's a more difficult road to take. But I also teach people how to go, how to navigate that path for a lot less money without lawyers.
Fabulous, thank you. And Lou, finally, briefly I'm going to ask you, are there any inventions that are near and dear to your heart?
Yes, there are. I have a few. Again, I was talking about innovation. For a lot of people, even if they're not rewarded monetarily, they just like to be known and attached to something. So I actually had a lot of intellectual property and architected a system that puts the yellow line down on the football field. So anytime watch football, I see it, other people see it. I remember my son was young. We used to go to Monday Night Football at a local restaurant, and point at the screen and said, "My dad did that."
Very cool.
That was kind of cool. So that's one that's very visible. Another one that that's probably a much bigger invention is the integration of video into graphics. So back at the Sarnoff Research Center, I was doing some consulting work and actually invented how video gets integrated into a computer. So anytime you watch video on a cell phone or your computer, whatever, you're using my invention. So.
Very nice, very nice. Okay,